Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, we are going to learn the concept of debit note. The key learning points will be the debit note definition, list of situations that why we are issuing debit note, a scanned copy of debit note, what type of debit note we are going to use in real life in the businesses, real life example so you will understand this concept easily, and the accounting journal entries that how we need to book this debit note in our accounting books. So let's start with the beginning, that what is debit note. We will see all of this concept as a buyer. We are the buyer. You need to keep in your mind that we are buyer and we are going to learn this as per the perspective of buyer. So what is debit note? A document issued by buyer to seller in case of an uncertain situation happens in business dealings. Something goes wrong and we are issuing a debit note to the seller. So this is a document that we are issuing. Let's see what are the uncertain situations when we are issuing a debit note. The list of uncertain situations involve goods returned due to damage or not according to buyer's specifications. We receive the goods, but those goods are not according to our requirements, or some of the goods are damaged. So we need to issue a debit note to the sellers that this much quantity of goods with this value is not according to our requirement, or these are damaged, so we are going to return these goods to your warehouse. The next, invoice value correction. Sometimes seller sending an invoice with the wrong value. The buyer is issuing a debit note that this much amount of value is overstated in your invoice, so please correct with this debit note. Correction of discounts if not applied. There was a purchase order issued by us and there was a discount mentioned on that purchase order, but seller didn't mention that discount. So we need to issue a debit note to the seller, please correct this. Warranty claims, purchase cancellation by buyer, incentive received by buyer from seller. Sometimes, the sellers having some targets that this company if buy like 100,000 goods in 1 year, we will give them incentive of this much percentage. So the seller is issuing a credit note to the buyer and the buyer is issuing a debit note to the seller to record this transaction. Discount received on early payments. Sometimes when the buyer is paying early, he is getting discount on those early payments. So in this situation also a debit note issued to the seller. Now let's see an example so you will understand this debit note very easily. ABC company purchases goods from XYZ company for $10,000. So ABC company is a buyer and the XY company is a seller. And ABC company found that total 5,000 worth of goods damaged and notified to XYZ company at the time of delivery. In this case, ABC company will issue a debit note when the ABC company is going to return the goods. He is issuing a debit note along with the goods, so the XYZ company will understand that this much value of the goods are damaged. After sending this debit note to ABC company, so the ABC company will be liable only to pay 5,000 to XYZ company because the 5,000 goods are damaged and returned to XYZ company. So the liability will be only for 5,000 which needs to be paid to XYZ company. Now let me show you that how you can prepare a debit note. This is your company name when you are going to issue a debit note. Your commercial registration number and tax numbers. You have to mention the date when you are going to issue a debit note. Purchase order number against you are going to issue a debit note. credit note number or the debit note number here, invoice number, the invoice issued by the seller against you are going to make a debit note. The voucher you have already entered in your system against this invoice, you have to mention for your easiness to find that voucher. And here you need to mention the seller name, his address, text, attention, phone numbers and email address, and the detail of product here, the item number which is mentioned, the seller's invoice or in our purchase order. So the item number should be according to that. Description of the product, quantity of the product and unit price and the total amount which is going to be debit to the seller. So here the net total will be, and this much amount will be going to debit to the seller in his ledger account. So the ledger account will decrease by this amount. Now let's see the journal entries so it will be clear for you. When purchased goods from XYZ company on credit, purchases expense will be debit by 10,000 and XYZ company liability account in balance sheet will be credited by 10,000. Now this is when we are buying goods on credit, this entry will be passed. Now when we found that the 5,000 worth of goods are damaged, so we need to return those goods. When we are going to return those goods, we need to issue a debit note and we need to record this transaction in our accounting books. XYZ company liability will be debit by 5,000 and purchase return expense contra account, this is the contra account of purchases, will be credited by 5,000. So here the liability will be decreased by 5,000, which was 10,000 earlier, and now it is decreased by 5,000. Credit, debit, this is a contrast. So our liability will be only 5,000 for payment to XYZ company. When we are going to pay money to XYZ company, then we are going to record this transaction. XYZ company liability account will be debit by 5,000 and cash and bank account will be credited by 5,000. Because we are going to pay money, so cash and bank will be credited. And to whom we are going to pay money, this is XYZ company, liability account will decrease by 5,000. So when we are going to make 5,000 this entry, then the XYZ company account will be 0. So this is the complete concept of debit note, guys. I hope you understand this concept. Please practice it, you will understand more. Kindly subscribe my channel so it keeps motivating me to create more videos for you. Thank you very much and goodbye.